beautiful people, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jennifer Diamond, and I live a whole food, plant-exclusive, SOFAs-free, gluten-free lifestyle for health and well-being. And today I thought I would bring you along while I make some black beans in the Instant Pot. So there was a time when I had never even cooked dry beans, and so now I do, and I thought that I would take you along and show you how I do it. It's very simple. I do get people asking me about it, and so I thought this would be a good time to share what I do. And so right here in front of me is a bowl of water with some black beans. These were dried black beans, and I got them at my farmer's market. They sell dried black beans everywhere, or any kind of bean that you'd like. You can get them in dry, and they're usually a lot less expensive than if you get them in the can. I use both, but I also believe that when you make them from scratch, you'll also get a different taste, a more robust flavor, and sometimes even a little bit of a different texture. At any rate, I'm going to show you right here. I got these particular ones at my farmer's market. I think I mentioned that. And I'm just going to show you when I first get them, they just look like this. They're just black beans. And they're kind of on the smaller side than some other beans like kidney and so forth. Anyways, I measure them out dry. And then I put them in a bowl, and I could do 1 cup or 2 cups. It doesn't matter how many cups, but I just like to know what I have so that when they're finished, I can, if I'm not planning to eat them all, I can put them in the freezer, and I can mark, how many are in there, a cup, half a cup, whatever. And so, what's really cool about the Instant Pot is you could make your beans without soaking them. I could take these dry beans, just rinse them, make sure there's no stones or anything in it, and put it in the Instant Pot, and voila, I can cook them. And if I was gonna do that, it would be, dry beans would be about 20-25 minutes in the Instant Pot, and then I would just natural release. But I prefer to soak my beans, and the reason why is because I think it helps, especially if you have trouble with digestion, or if you have any kind of bloating or gas that comes from beans. The process of soaking them helps get rid of some of that. And what I do is I put it in the bowl, I fill it with clean water, and then I just let it sit, and I try not to mix the water. And then about 12 hours later, and I try to do this, I could do it up to 2 days, but you could do 1 day, you could do whatever you could do. So once about 12 hours is up, I take it out of the refrigerator. Sometimes if I'm home, I'll leave it on the counter, and then I just take a colander and I, dump the water out and rinse it, and then I'll start again, and I'll put fresh water in again, and then I'll soak it again, and I can do that process up to 2 days. This has been soaking. This is day 2, so I'm going to rinse these with you and show you how to cook them. I also want to mention that I have another bowl right here, and these are pinto beans, and I've got them right here as well, just to show you what they look like when they're dry. They're easier to see dry versus the black ones, and you could just kind of see. Look at, I didn't even show you this, but these in water, look at how they're so much bigger. They're really a lot bigger, and that's part of the soaking process. You want to do the same thing. But one reason that I wanted to talk about this is because there was a time before that I decided to do 3 different kind of beans, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to soak them all in the same bowl. And I did black beans, I did a white bean, and I think I may have done pinto beans. I know I definitely had a black and a white bean. It was either a navy or a cantonelli bean. At any rate, what happened was the black beans kind of discolored the other beans. And it was almost like, there's almost like a dye or something. When I pour the black bean water out that I'm soaking it in, it's like a black color that, comes from the beans. I don't know why that is, but at any rate, I decided that I like to soak them separately for that very reason, because I like to have the vibrant of whatever the color is that it's supposed to be. That's what I want to see in my food. Is it doing anything to the food if you mix them all? Probably not. But I like to, have my food look pretty when I am putting it together. And also maybe I don't want to mix them all. So for what it's worth, you decide what works for you. I'm going to go ahead and dump this water out and rinse this, and we'll be ready to go. So here we go. And I like to make a lot of them at one time. So like I said, I can portion them out and have them in the freezer. And then when I'm ready, they'll be ready to go. But here's what they look like. Don't they look beautiful? And something about black beans, they're used in a lot of different kinds of food. They're used in Mexican dishes and Cajun recipes and all kinds of Latin American. Black beans are very common, and they're really good in terms of what they're full of. They're rich in magnesium, and they're rich in folate and phosphorus and all kinds of goodies. So they're great. They've got lots of protein in them. And so anyways, they're great, and I enjoy them in my daily, well, I don't eat them every day, but I do enjoy them weekly. I try to get them in there. And so anyways, let me grab our Instant Pot. I'm going to cook these separate. I'm not going to mix the cooking time with the pinto beans just because of what we talked about earlier. So I'll set those aside and do those another time. But let me grab the Instant Pot. And it could be really simple as just adding water and cooking it. But you can also flavor up the water if you want. And how I might do that, and maybe I shouldn't have brought this over yet because I want you to be able to see. So let me just move it back here a little bit, just for a moment. Is you could add fresh garlic, fresh onion. You could put in serrano peppers, jalapeno peppers, anything you want. And I even have, some spices here. I have oregano and ground cumin. You could do coriander. You could do anything that you want in terms of flavor. You could also just use plain water, which is great. Now, why would I flavor the water that I'm going to cook the beans in? Because I save the water and I use it in future recipes as a broth. So I can have black bean broth, and if I had put some of these other things in here, like seasonings and herbs or onions and garlic, it'll give it, hopefully, a nice extra flavor to it. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut a little bit up, and we're going to put it in there together. But you definitely don't have to do this. This is just if you want to. You can mince this up. You could put it in whole, but then you'd have it whole at the end. And although it might be mushy by then because it's cooked. So, but I'm going to go ahead and mince this today just so that we have some nice little pieces that can hopefully give the water and the beans a nice added flavor to the already rich tasting broth that I think will come from this. And so as far as the onion, for this, I think I'm just going to do part of this onion. You could slice it, dice it. I'm just going to do a little bit, take this outer paper off, the onion paper I call it. There we go. And then I'm just gonna dice this up. There's a better way to dice your onions than what I'm doing today. I just decided to just throw in a small piece, and that's kind of how I am going with it. I normally don't cut it up just randomly like this, but it doesn't matter. That's the beauty of it. However you want it to be is fine. And so I'm just gonna chop it up a little bit. Now, if you really wanted to get fancy, you could, turn the saute feature on here and put the onions in and kind of get them to be a little bit translucent, and really bring out some extra flavors. But today I'm just gonna chop it up and throw it in. All right, I'm gonna call that good. Now, if you put it in there and you maybe want the broth to be clear, you can strain this out after it's done and, use this in another dish, the onions, if you didn't want it in the broth. So my eyes are starting to water. Let me grab my little scooper and get this in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the black beans. I'm gonna put them all in there just like that. And then I'm going to add water. You wanna have enough water, I hope I have enough, I might need more, to cover it. There we go, look at that. You want it to cover it completely. You don't want any beans sticking out at the top. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scoop some onion, and I have a lot of onion here, and the garlic. So I might not put it all in, but I certainly can. Well, I think I will. We cut it up together. I'll just throw it in there. And just for fun, I'm also gonna add a little bit of oregano and cumin that I just put in there. I'm gonna put some black pepper in there. And this is all bonus because you don't have to do this. And more commonly for myself, I usually just use the water. But it is nice to know that you can add different flavors. And, oh, look at this. This did not come out all the way. So let's get that out. You can do any flavors. And I had talked about a serrano pepper or a jalapeno pepper, but I don't have one ready to go. I mean, I do have a lot of serrano peppers because we have this tree, but I'm not going to do it today. So let's get this closed up. And I like to just kind of, mix it in a little, just because. Try to make sure that everything is still covered, which it is. And then with the Instant Pot on dried beans, I usually put it on high pressure for 6 to 8 minutes and then natural release. So let's start that. And I've got the seal closed, I've got the lid on, and I pushed the start button after I programmed it to 8 minutes. There it goes, it's telling me here's the direction. Thank you, Instant Pot. And so once that's done, then we will be back and we'll take a look and make sure that it's all cooked up. All right, so we'll be back. And so if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and you'll be notified when I go live or post new videos. And please give this a thumbs up. It really helps support my channel, and I do appreciate it so much. I also wanted to let you know something very exciting. I just learned that I qualified for something called a Super Thanks. And I had never heard of that before, but apparently there's a new button underneath my video, and it is just there in case anybody wanted to, send me a thanks in the form of any kind of donation. And so I'm pointing it out. I'm not asking for anything, but I just want you to be aware that it's there. And so anyhow, it was just an exciting feature that I get to add. And I couldn't do any of this without you guys. So let's get back to things, and we'll continue talking about the black beans And of course, give this a thumbs up if you haven't, and thank you so much. Okay, so the Instant Pot has finished and the natural release is done. So let's take a peek. There we go. All right. And then I always like to unplug it, which I just did. And then when I lift the lid up, I want to make sure the condensation that's in the lid goes into the pan, which a little bit spilled here, but I'm trying to show you. So just keep that in mind. And then if you have this kind of a lid, if you didn't see me do this before, there's a little handle here, which is really nice, but I'm not going to use it because it blocks what I'm trying to show you right now. So certainly smells good. Wow. And you could see, look at this, that this looks pretty good, wouldn't you say? So I'm gonna just take one of these. Yikes. And I should have gotten a fork. That tastes really great. I am super excited. It was a creamy texture. Yum, yum, yum. Okay, so I just had the one. So now what I'm gonna do is, you want a bowl, and let me get some gloves. And I just want to strain the beans and keep the broth. And of course, because we used the onion will stay with the beans. But if you don't want onion, you just want nice, beautiful black beans, you don't have to add anything to the water. So don't forget that. But if you do want it, it is a nice change up, provides a lot of flavor. Wow, I have a lot more beans here than I thought. Oh my goodness. There we go, wow. I was able to get almost all of them. I'll have to grab those, and here you go. And see, look at under here, all this beautiful broth. I mean, it's just a nice broth, and it's got all kinds of beautiful flavors, and you can use it to cook anything, including other soups or anything that you would use broth for. Even stir-frying vegetables, or you could even add this to rice if you're going to cook rice or a grain and use this as the water. That might provide a lot of flavor. I've never done that one, and it sounds like a good idea. I might try that soon. And so anyways, once this is, really nice and drained and cooled off, then I can portion this out. And I can portion it out by, I usually like to do 2 cups. And I will measure out 2 cups. You could do smaller increments, whatever you want. And then this way, when I take it out of the freezer, if I don't use it all, or if I don't have a plan for it, then I'll be able to know how much. And if I were to, let's say I didn't want to use any of this, I want to freeze all of this. If I freeze it all together, and then I thought, and I just want part of it, I can't really refreeze it afterwards. So it's nice to have the different increments, different measurements. I'm going to just set this here for a minute, and I am going to, let's see, what am I going to do? I'm going to get another bowl, and then I'm going to show you, one that I have in the freezer. So I let this cool, right? And then I take a ladle, and it's so hot I want to keep it on the wood. I take a ladle and I measure it in a 2-cupper, measuring cup. And then I have a food saver. And if you haven't seen my vegetable broth, I'll link it above and you can check that out. And I'm pretty sure I use my food saver in there. And what I do is I put it in here, I seal it, and then I write on the bottom. And this one says the date, so April 2024. I have 2 cups and what it is, black bean broth. And this one doesn't have anything, no seasonings. This is a plain one. So what I might also put on these is that it was, seasoned. I might put seasoned broth. At any rate, that's what I do with it. Let me hear if you do something different or you have a different idea. And I know I tasted one, but I'm gonna taste a little bit more with you. And maybe we'll call in Todd and see if he'd like to taste with me. So Todd, would you come in here and try some beans? And here he comes.
Here he comes.
Hi
Hello,
there.
hello everybody. Beans.
Yes, black beans.
Black
and
beans.
This time we have a little onions in it and some other flavors, some seasonings as well as fresh garlic. And I was wondering if you would want to taste it with me for everybody.
I will happily taste some beans with onions and garlic and other stuff in it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So
Let's dig in.
yeah, let's just take a little.
Okay. It's actually really good. Is the cumin? That's good. It's got a very Hispanic food flavor, which is probably the cumin and the garlic, and it's really good actually. Yeah.
You like it?
I do.
Because when I normally make this, I usually make it just plain, right? Which
Yeah.
you can certainly do. And then if you do that, you can even make it into like a flavored variation after
Sure.
the fact. We sometimes even smash these up and add a little, broth or water and heat it up, and then some more seasonings, or even no water, just smash it up and add some flavor.
Yeah. I mean, it would be interesting, kind of mash, not like a refried bean, but in terms of texture, something similar to that, because this is a very good flavor. I mean, you could use this in like taco salads or burritos or whatever else, Hispanic food that you like to eat.
Yeah, and when I'm talking about smashing it, I am thinking of doing like a black refried bean.
Nice.
So anyhow, I would also like just to ask you to share the texture.
They were a little firmer than I thought, but they're still very good. It's a bean texture, right? So it's it's got this creaminess, but they're nice and firm, so they're not all squishy and weird until you mash them.
Well, let me just take one
supposed to
out
be.
and whoops, there's an onion, and just squeeze it for you guys to see,
Yeah.
the texture in there. And yeah, the skin I think is a little firm, so
Yeah.
I wonder if you I don't think if you go any longer, because you still want it to hold its shape. If you
Right.
go any longer, it might lose its shape, so.
Yeah, I think if you wanted them, squishier, which is not a technical cooking term, but if you wanted them squishier, then you go the mash route that you were talking about.
That's right. That's right. So, well, thank you for tasting this with me.
Well, thank you for making beans.
Well, it's my pleasure. And I hope that you guys try the Instant Pot and try some beans if you haven't. Not soaked with, onions and garlic and seasonings, or just with some filtered water. And let us know how you like it. I'd love to hear what you do with the beans afterwards. What
Yes.
kind of, meals you make. So.
Yeah, because now I'm hungry.
Well, I'll just say you can put these in all the things that you said, right?
Yeah.
So salads, and you can make all kinds of tacos, and you could even put this on a pizza crust if you wanted.
Sure.
And you know what else we use them for?
What's that?
Is our scramble kind of thing that we've done.
Oh, that-
we should link that video in case you
Yeah.
haven't seen it. It's really good, like
The
a
chorizo tofu scramble?
taco
Yeah.
thing.
That
Yeah.
was really good.
Anyways, take care, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget, eat your greens. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.